Good evening and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm your host, Doug Inkler. Joining me as always in the co-host seats are our good friends, Miss Angela Rose
Hi, everyone.
and Mr. Darren Starling.
Hello, from the road.
And
Darren's
not
on the
dead.
road. He's not dead yet. He's driving.
Yeah, kind of hard to be dead or asleep if you're driving.
Pretty much. Tonight we are just going to kind of do our usual improvisation show. No major topic. I haven't seen a whole lot anime news-wise coming out, so I'm not sure. Wasn't sure of like diving onto a topic this week, and so I figured we just have fun, just having a normal blah blah stream. For lack of better terms, blah blah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds boring. Let's do it.
So, starting off, have you guys been able to catch up with any shows?
Negatory.
I am caught up with exactly 2 shows.
If I'd have watched them this week, so would I.
And hello, Jeremy.
Hello, Jeremy. Thank you so much for tuning in. Great to see you in the chat. Hope things are going good out there where you're at.
Doug, are you caught up with Apothecary Diaries?
Yeah, we watched that yesterday. Yeah, yesterday.
Apothecary Diaries is one of the 2 shows I am actually caught up with.
I will go out on a limb saying that Apothecary Diaries might be one of the greatest anime I've ever seen, based off of storytelling, character development, plot twists, and keeping you guessing. It is up there as probably one of the best.
It's the best I've seen in a long time.
And the fact it hasn't gotten more awards is a criminal.
Agreed.
Sounds about right. They do that to a lot of the actual good shows.
And Jeremy says his Commissar cosplay is almost ready.
Sweet. Looking forward to seeing the pics when that's done.
But yeah,
Definitely wasn't expecting the stuff to happen in this week's episode.
yeah, I feel like that was one huge reveal.
It was. I definitely was thrown off for that one, but it happens.
Yep.
And I believe there's 3 episodes left before season 2 ends.
Yep. And season 2 will end on the 4th of July.
On a Saturday in the park.
That was good, Darren. I give you credit on that.
I assume there's a reference I missed, and that's okay.
Song. Saturday in the park. You think it was the 4th of July. It's an older song. I kind of did that to my wife. We were at the store yesterday doing grocery shopping, and I went to the bathroom. Her and our daughter went off to a different area, so I sent her a message that said, "Where did you go, my lovely?"
Whereas for me, when you say that, "Where did you go?" my brain goes to Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
I mean, I could have gone the Blink-182 route too. Where are you? Not so sorry. Hello, John Knight.
Zero courtesy.
It's going to be a fun night. We're already on rocker being goofy.
You know what? Let's channel that. Let's channel this energy. Favorite of all time anime opening.
Yesterday marked the 10th anniversary of the Show by Rock dub. Thank you for that, John. Favorite anime opening of all time?
Since we've gone down the music rabbit hole, we might as well tie it back to something.
Yeah.
I mean,
especially after you got embarrassed the other week.
I mean, if I'm gonna go down the rabbit hole, for that, that's tough because there's so many good ones. The first anime opening that I fell in love with was Change the World by V6, the season 1 Inuyasha opening. So if we're going back, that was the first one that I was like, I can't skip this. The first half of season 2 for Apothecary Diaries opening, that was one I didn't skip either. I'm trying to think, your boy Kong Ming, if the song that I like from that, if that was the opening or the ending, I'm not sure.
Opening, ending doesn't matter.
I loved that one as well.
Dumbbell.
I forget. I would have to look.
See, now, one, there was a panel that reminded me of exactly how much I'd forgotten, because it was basically an anime music related panel, and it was named that tune based on specific themes, and it's like, I know this, why don't I remember this? And then it dawned, and then that there's a reason why I have started a Spotify playlist that is 100% nothing but anime intros and outros. Because over the years, I've watched some really mid anime with some outstanding opening and ending songs.
Oh, like Call of the Night.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Creepy Nuts is on that. There's Creepy Nuts on that playlist.
Mm-hmm. Death Parade's opening is always one of my favorites.
I really like to have a nice music, but for Show by Rock, the original, that was the ending song.
There was a very mid anime we watched a few years ago called Mars Red. The ending was done by Hyde and is fantastic, and actually got to see that song performed live.
That is pretty cool when you because that even happens at like the some of the anime conventions now. Some of the bigger ones, they'll bring in the Japanese guests and they'll perform the opening in it or ending songs that they've done for shows. We've seen that a few times at Anime Boston.
Yep.
Asuka was amazing.
Agreed.
Trying to think of if there's any others that like pop into my head. Creepy Nuts stuff is really good. Kobayashi's Dragon Maid openings by Fauna, both of those are good.
See, my favorite for Apothecary Diaries is actually season 2, part 2, but I also have listened to Ms. Green Apple's I've listened to a bunch of their stuff.
Yeah.
I have to say, wasn't that the one that did Fire Forces?
Maybe.
I think.
And then there was another. I am drawing a blank at the name. The anime Platinum End, made by the same people that made Death Note. Overall, mediocre anime. Opening was done by a Japanese metal band called Bandmaid, and absolutely banger.
I've heard of Bandmate. Isn't that the female group where they're all dressed as maids?
I don't know. I played their music.
I think that is.
Played their music and then missed when they came to America because I was in. It was like the day I left to go to London.
Yeah, they perform, and a lot of them look like they're dressed in maid outfits while they're up performing.
Does not surprise me, but
news that I saw, not so much anime, but past guest news. Baby Beard has found a third member now. I just saw them post earlier this week that they have their third. They got a new member in. Suzu is still there, and now they have a new member. I'm not sure if I can find it again quick. But I know I did see it somewhere. I might have to search.
very, very awesome.
So, Mizuki is a new trainee member. So you can go to babybeard_Japan on Instagram or ladybeard_Japan and see photos of the all three of them now with the new trainee.
From John Knight, has anyone watched Mamoru Hosada's Bell movie?
No.
Nope.
John Knight says he is watching Ninja Kamui dub on Max and is on episode 10. I have not seen that. It's not what I'm watching. Hopefully you're enjoying it.
I feel like that was on my radar and I skipped. I feel like that one was one that we had planned to watch and then just didn't because life got in the way. Because the two things we are keeping up with this season are both season 2s.
I have kept up with almost everything I'm watching. I'm behind on Gorilla God's Go-To Girl just dropped today, so I haven't seen that one yet. And I forgot Two Perfect Saint dropped 4 days ago, but I was watching other stuff and thought I had watched it, but I don't think I actually have.
But did you actively drop anything is the real question.
I have dropped a couple of shows this season.
Alrighty. Have a good night.
The Ninja and Assassin Living Together, I dropped.
Since I think that one was also on my list, why'd you drop it?
It just looked stupid. I think I went into it thinking that it might have like a Spy Family vibe, and it doesn't. So I was like, this just looks ridiculous. So I'm watching enough other ridiculous stuff so I can drop this.
Okay.
Other shows that I had put down on the list as potentials that I did not start, from Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, I did not start that one. Summer Pockets I wrote down, I did not start that one. Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire, I did not watch. Uma Musume Cinderella Grey, I don't see it on Crunchyroll. I don't see it on High Dive, so I have not started that. But I have seen there's a Facebook page that puts up a bunch of polls for like top 10s, and it's like the last 3 or 4 weeks that it's been number 1. So I do want to try to find that so I can check it out. I've enjoyed every Uma Musume thus far, so it's getting high praise from what I've seen.
Hence, I'm surprised you're not watching that because
it was on my list, but I think I have to go to one of the
alternative
sites, the not nice sites.
And Darren's back. Let's let him in.
Welcome back, Darren.
I don't know what happened, honestly. I was in Walmart. Well, actually, that's probably enough said right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Walmart does not like technology unless you're on their Wi-Fi.
And John Knight says he's watched Apothecary Diaries and is up to episode 18 of the dub. 6 more episodes to go. And I have not. Yep. And he also says he's up to season 2, episode 7 of the Windbreaker dub. Windbreaker season 2 is interesting. And yes, that is the only other show we're watching right now because reasons.
So I'm guessing that you have not been keeping up with Catch Me at the Ballpark?
No. Basically, at the start of the season, we watched a few things, didn't get to everything. And then just with conventions and other things going on, we basically prioritized Apothecary Diaries and Windbreaker. What I may do is just start doing something where I just pick a couple shows from my list and start binging in the mornings.
Alrighty. It has been it's still enjoyable. Like I said, it's a nice little palate cleanser, just a bunch of random stuff that happens. It feels like there is a storyline in there, but it feels like it's 6 or 7 storylines in the whole season thus far, and you're following bits and pieces of all of them in one episode.
So kind of like Way of the House Husband.
I have not seen that. I will say that that salary man that with kind of the bland face has an interesting interaction with the blonde beer girl.
Well,
and the interaction is so much that the beer girl has a hard time looking him in the face.
Interesting. Because
not I don't consider that to be a spoiler.
Because
that could be a bunch of different things happening. I mean, that's we're getting into.
Because I only watched, I think, 1 episode of that, maybe 2.
Okay.
So, but
yeah, that stuff I just said happens episode 9 and 10.
Well, I do every so often. I do this where I find a show where I'll just end up binging a show over the course of like a week or 2.
Yeah.
And some shows I find are better that way.
Yeah.
As opposed to week to week.
Apothecary Diaries is definitely one that's going to be better in the binges than waiting week to week, because I find myself being like, damn it, I want more.
Oh.
We finished this episode and it's like, Urgh.
Oh, I know. But I'm invested, so Apothecary Diaries is week to week.
I'll say.
But, like, for example, My Happy Marriage, season 1, I binged the first, I think, 8 or 9 episodes and really enjoyed it. Season 2, I watched week to week, and season 2 arguably didn't hold up as much.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like some shows are better watching all at once as opposed to week, but hey, chat, what do you think?
Other shows that I have been keeping up on did catch the Unaware Atelier Meister. That's the only show that's being like simuldubbed in English and Japanese. So that's the only show I've actually been watching in English the whole time. That has been interesting. I think I mentioned last week that the princess that the Meister ends up meeting up with and saving, I don't like the art style on her because she just seems too fake. But otherwise, the series has been pretty good. However, the main male character is completely oblivious and kind of annoying. But we see that a lot with protagonists in these types of shows.
Yeah.
Killing slimes for 300 years. The most recent episode that dropped was interesting. It focused a lot on the Demon Lord, it being her birthday, and where she considers the witch to be her sister, where she has Azusa trapped there and turns her into a fox girl. So it got corny, but still a very cute character for Azusa. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? That got spicy in the most recent episode.
I think I saw like a spoiler from it, but I'm hoping and praying it was something I overlooked. But we'll see.
All I will say is Himari grew a pair. That's all I'm gonna say. She actually grew a pair and made a bold move. I did not see that coming, and I was like, you know what? With how much she's annoyed me up to the most recent episode, I give her kudos, and I'm genuinely pulling for her now. Of course, Apothecary Diaries is just too damn good. I think Freerin has the potential to be as good as Apothecary Diaries has been as a whole, but I'm only going based off of the knowledge I have from reading ahead in the manga. If the anime, they can convey the same passionate storyline as they've been doing in season 1, I think it could be there, but I still think Apothecary Diaries is better than Freerin. Now I just need to get some Mau figures. Maybe I'll find some at a convention later this year if I'm able to get to some.
Okay.
Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows has gotten interesting as well. It's a story of a guy who is banished from a high-class party. Basically, everybody feeling that he's useless. So it's another one of those, I don't think he was in the... Actually, I think he was in a hero's party, and everybody said that he was basically useless and kicked him out, saying there was a useless healer, but not realizing that all of their success was basically because of him. Not realizing that until it was too late. He decides to become a black market healer, working in the slums, befriends 3 rival gangs, and basically brings a war to end between the 3 rival gangs, which are all different types of beast people. And then he ends up getting into some other interesting stuff. So it's curious to see where the storyline is going to continue. That is one that is good to just sit down and enjoy, not look too much into it, but I also feel like it could get deeper than my simple mind watching it is letting it be. Two Perfect Saint, I forgot that had dropped, so I have to catch up on that. That has still been really good. I still put that right up there with shows like Snow White with the Red Hair and the Saint's magic power is omnipotent. Zatsutabi, That's Journey, has been very interesting. One thing I love about That's Journey is the fact that they travel to all different parts of Japan. It's basically the story of a girl who wants to be a manga artist. Her ideas keep getting rejected, so she decides to go to social media with random, excuse me, with random polls as to, okay, I'm going to travel. Which direction? Where should I go? And then they just kind of follow her. And as she goes on all these journeys, sometimes she goes alone, sometimes she brings friends with her, and then she realizes over time that the experiences that she's having, she needs to put those feelings and emotions that she's experiencing into her manga, into her work, and to try to get approval on different things. So it's kind of neat to see how much they're traveling. It makes me want to get out and explore like Pennsylvania more. I know I've only been here almost 2 years, but I kind of want to get out and see more of it at some point when the time will allow. And then the last show that I've been watching with my wife was the From Bureaucrat to Villainous. That has been enjoyable. It's just kind of like stupid humor fun. Comments in the chat. John Knight says, I finally finished My Happy Marriage dub on Netflix. It was a great romance anime. Animation was beautiful. The characters were great. The story was very well done.
Has Ross popped in tonight?
I have not seen
No,
Ross
I have
yet.
not seen Ross.
Give it time.
I was just curious, considering we've brought up My Happy Marriage several times now, and he hasn't chimed in yet.
Yeah, no, and yeah, Go Loser Ranger's another one we kind of didn't get around to yet. But
And John Knight says he's waiting on My Hero Academia Vigilantes dub to release so he can binge watch.
Excuse me. Doug, did you touch on what's the other one I'm watching from this season? Oh yeah, I forgot you dropped that one.
Which one was it?
Takamine.
Yeah, I did drop that one. And I think that was actually last season's show.
Nope. It was this season.
Okay.
Nope. Basically, as the story goes on, you realize why she's doing what she does. Stuff comes up toward the last couple episodes with a little bit of a twist, kind of a fun twist. But I mean, it's nothing serious, but it's your typical ecchi show where girl overly teases guy for obvious reason, unbeknownst to everyone. You know,
Yeah.
it's just in a different manner. Why do we stop?
Because they want you to stop.
Well,
no.
No?
oh well. That's one thing I can't do in this truck is roll coal.
Why did you rearrange the screens, Doug?
I was wondering if you're going to be... You weren't even looking when I did that.
No, I
I was
was
about to
not.
say. Hey, look. This is a random. This is a random and show. This is a random show. Expect nothing and watch everything.
At least Rusty's not here to change our titles.
That was fun.
Let me see if he's around. I actually haven't talked to him in a while. Hopefully he's doing good.
I was going to say, hopefully he's doing well. If I remember correctly, he was not doing extremely well the last time he was on.
I've seen some posts from him. Very few about his health, but he seems to be doing okay. I mean, from what I can tell.
Hmm.
So I sent out a hello message to Rusty, see how he's doing.
But yeah, they're
Any good tabletop news, Ange? I know that you enjoy the
um
gaming stuff, so I didn't know if there's any good things coming out from like
yeah,
end of PAX type stuff, or
tabletop. I mean, everyone's waiting for the Final Fantasy Magic the Gathering set to release. That's been the big thing. Ew. What made me think that was a good idea? Gross.
Anybody's friends try to get the Nintendo Switch 2 or whatever? Because I heard all the hubbub about that over the weekend.
Oh, I have friends who got it at launch. Like, apparently that was allegedly the easiest launch for a Nintendo system.
That's. Did you hear about how one place kind of ruined everybody's?
Yep. Did you hear about that, Doug?
No, I don't think I have.
It was a GameStop in New York, and they stapled the receipts to the box for the Switch 2 and cracked the screen.
Oh, wow, that is. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
Good Lord.
that is in fact a thing.
Just kind of scrolling through some social media stuff, seeing what was going on there. I know there is a convention called Too Many Games coming up in Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, June 27th through 29th, so at the end of the month. If I do have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday off, I would like to go to that because I know they have some good guests and stuff. I mentioned it before. Heard back from Rusty. He is unable to join us tonight, but he says that he hopes that we're all doing well. So I hope that he is doing well. I told him I hope he is doing well, and I know kind of last minute sometimes when you message somebody, be like, "Hey, you want to come on?"
Oh yeah,
Everybody's got lives and busy stuff going on, so
exactly.
But Too Many Games. It's going to be, like I said, June 27th through 29th. I think I went through the guest list and stuff before, but they had some good guests. John DiMaggio, Courtney Taylor is going to be there. Charles Martinet, Ray Chase, Samantha Kelly, Mark Meir, Alex Organ, KG Tang, Zeno Robinson, Michelle Ruff. I think we've had Michelle Ruff on the show. Natalie Van Sistine, Megan Shipman, who we've had on the show multiple times, and Carrie Walgren are all amongst the voice acting guests who are going to be there. Voice actor Alex Lee had to cancel, unfortunately, but looks like they have a lot of cool people that are going to be there. Hopefully I'm able to go and check things out. And maybe somebody that we can see about working with and say aren't that far from me. About working with them in the future. I have reached out to them via email about potentially being a guest on the show to do some promotions and stuff, which I have yet to hear back. But
Yeah.
like I said, they are in the month of the con, and we all know how nuts, especially anybody who has worked with a convention like Angela, how insane the time is building up to that convention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And no, up here it looks like the next big up in New England, the next big event is going to be Kineticon, which I will not be attending because I have another event the same weekend that I am working with. And then Pop Cult, well, sadly, this year is the very last year for Pop Cult. Due to just not recovering from COVID and budget wise, they decided that this year was going to be the last one.
Oh, that's sad. I know they've been going for a while.
5 years, I believe, not including COVID.
Wow.
But so I will likely be heading up there for a day because it's local.
That I wasn't expecting to hear that Pop Cult was going to be ending.
Yep.
But unfortunately, a lot that does happen. I know a lot of conventions that were never able to come back even after convention started.
And then you've got some of the larger events that are happening between now and the end of summer. John Knight in the chat says Anime Expo is next month.
Yeah.
Wait, what? I thought it was normally in August.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take a look here.
I don't know. About what I got is, and then I was talking to a content creator friend of mine, and they're boothing at a bunch of different conventions, like back to back to back, including Kineticon, Otakon.
Anime Expo, July 3rd through 6th of 2025.
Huh. I could have swore they were always held in August.
It might be a usually as opposed to always.
That or I'm getting that confused with Otakon. I don't know. When is Otakon this year?
No, I don't remember. I know Natalie told me.
Otakon, August 8th
through 10.
Okay, so maybe I just got the two mixed up because, as you know, Expo's the big one on the West Coast, Otakon's the big one on the East Coast.
And then Labor Day weekend, you've got Dragon Con on the East Coast and PAX West on the West Coast.
And Dragon Con is one that came up in some of the discussions in the Anime-Zing forum as to what they were saving up for instead of going to Anime-Zing or GalaxyCon this year.
Dragon Con, I would almost liken, based on things I've heard, I've never actually been the year I was supposed to, lost my job and ended up not being able to go. From what I've heard, it's more on par with like one of the bigger Comic-Cons in terms of size.
I have never been to either of those, so many conventions, so little time and money.
Yep.
If I'd ever hit the lottery, I would probably take like a year off from working, get an RV, and just travel the country trying to hit up conventions all over.
Only a year?
I would
basically,
start off with
you'd be a voice actor without the voice actor title.
and without the pay.
I am lucky enough that we're going to be at PAX West because it is timed with the family vacation.
Yay! I waited long enough; it didn't backfeed that time.
Yay!
Yay!
Like I said, I am still waiting to hear back about Kineticon. Too many games is a possibility. That's going to depend on my work schedule, what train I'm going to be on for the week leading into that weekend. Like I said, it's coming at the end of June, so I've got to wait 2 more weeks before I would know what I would be on.
So when will you actually get vacation?
The vacation, I was actually able to move up to the end of September. So it's like the last few days of September, first weekend of October to coincide with my wife's competition.
Yep.
Originally, it was going to be like first full week of November, but I was able to get it moved up so that I could help her so that she'd be ready for her bodybuilding competition in October. I think it's 3rd through 5th. And that's going to be in the Allentown, Pennsylvania area.
So you're not going to come up for AAC?
No. AAC is not in the cards for this year. Maybe next year. I personally haven't been to AAC in 3 or 4 years.
Same. Because that it usually these days it usually falls in line right around the time we're traveling, or it's way too close and we can't justify the expense.
Yeah, because I think the last AAC that I made was shortly after I had moved to New York.
I think you might be correct about that.
And then just timing and stuff didn't work out for me to be able to go. That's one thing that's tough about this job is I got so used to hitting up conventions, like 10 to 15 conventions a year, just because I had the time. And, via tabling at conventions and press at some conventions, we were very fortunate enough to not have to pay for admission fees to a lot of the cons because of the podcast platform.
Yep.
And unfortunately, now working for the railroad, where my schedule changes week to week, and I never know when I'm going to be around. It makes it tough to be able to plan to go to a convention and stuff like that. And as anybody who attends cons know, a lot of times you need planning well ahead of time. You have to figure out hotels ahead of time. It's tough to find anything last minute, unless you plan on driving,
or unless you know a guy.
Yeah, unless you luck out and can either room share or like if Kineticon does become a thing, I will probably end up having to get a hotel outside of the city of Hartford and have to drive in, which is not that big of a deal. I've done it before. It's not like Hartford's a horrible city to drive in, and the convention hall is a pretty easy in and out. It's not like trying to navigate the streets of Boston or like trying to figure out going to Anime NYC or even getting into Philadelphia.
Boston is easy.
I'm more comfortable with Boston because I've done it enough, but Boston is not that easy if you're not familiar.
Boston is not okay. I love my city. I drive in and out of Boston daily. If you're not from here, don't.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I realized now getting around like the convention centers, easy peasy.
Getting in and out of Boston
is hell on earth.
There's a reason that people in Massachusetts say that Boston is an hour from Boston. You get on a highway going into the city, it's gonna take you an hour.
I have a lot of adventures.
Unfortunately, didn't get to really drive around Raleigh, but I'm sure considerably much easier to navigate.
From what I saw of Raleigh, it's much easier.
Yes.
Philadelphia was a crapshoot going in for PAX Unplugged.
Philadelphia is another grid. They're all grids.
They're grids, but the traffic is what makes them.
No, traffic in any major city sucks.
That's why I try to avoid major cities.
I couldn't have it any other way. I love the city.
You love the chaos.
The one major city that I have driven in that legit scared me was Manhattan.
I thought you were going to say Atlanta.
I've never driven in it. Wait, did I?
McDonough was bad enough, and that's just not.
No, if I drove. No, I think I drove from the Atlanta airport to Savannah.
The one time I went to Savannah, Georgia, I didn't have to drive, so I cannot say. I think I slept half that trip.
Nope.
Right, Atlanta is the famous city down here for being the one not to drive in.
I believe that. I've driven. I know I've driven in Savannah. I think Atlanta, I've only driven to and from the airport. No, we one of our weekend trips to New York, we drove, and getting off the highway, just from getting off the highway to the hotel was legit a nightmare. I'm used to Star Drive.
Oh gosh, Star Drive is like a country back road compared to some of the stuff in Atlanta, in New York City, and I would even say in the DC area. Because I've
done that.
Manipulate out there is pull your hair out.
Probably the funniest thing to me is we all complain about how bad it is driving in some of these cities. Then I see these videos of them driving in other countries.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just like, we got it easy.
I forget what show I was watching. I think it was like a Destination Truth type of show, and they were in some country, and the highway was 8 lanes wide in each direction.
That sounds like the Autobahn in Germany.
And I'm like, but I think it was like in Turkey or something like that. I'm like, how do you even navigate that?
China has a 20-lane highway, I think.
Could you imagine people driving on we'll just say the 8-lane highway? We get pissed when we see people go from the high-speed lane on a 3-lane highway to get that exit.
There is a spot in Boston where I used to get on 93. It would be I'd have to literally cut across 4 lanes of traffic.
Oh, I know where exactly.
4 lanes of traffic, quarter mile to get off at my correct exit. And the fact that you know where I'm talking about is kind of hilarious.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
Because the on-ramp is on the far left side, the next exit is a right-hand exit.
And you've got to, because I'm always stuck in traffic going through there. And I see people who have their blinker on and they have to move over. It kind of reminds me, I think it's like the 24 and 195, only it's opposite direction. You've got about a half a mile to get. If you're following 24, you get on 195, cross 3 lanes, and get off on the left. It's a left exit. So 195 has something similar. I think that's closer to Providence.
I do not know 195 at all, but nope, this one is literally to get off at Sturo Drive.
I used to know 195 by heart. I used to know those exits by heart because I drove it way too much.
And
Same thing with the Mass Pike from 495 to the New York state line. I used to know every exit on that.
They have changed all the exit numbers, but
Oh, the other, it's funny. My one of my Sunday school teachers back in the day said that when he visited China, there was 2 speed limits in China. Well, there were 2 speeds in China: pedal to the metal or stop. You were stopped.
yep.
Sounds about right. That's
And
why
then other videos from other countries, you see people riding on buses, and the buses are, wait, how are these things still operating?
Oh yeah. You see, like, if you've ever watched The Amazing Race,
Yep.
good lord.
Some of the stuff that they've had to go through with terms of transportation is impressive.
Precisely.
I've never actually watched it, so I just know like some of the travel issues that Destination Truth has had to go through in some of these countries. It's always interesting, including one time they were in a plane and the roof ripped off of it. That was an interesting episode.
Oh boy.
The fact that they were able to make it down safely and everything, nothing bad happened to them on the plane. They were just flying, and Josh Gates was like, "The roof just ripped off. Should I be concerned?" Oh my God! I was just thinking, Chris Broad hates planes. Could you imagine if that happened to one of those planes in Japan?
Oh
Like
God.
remember the special he did flying over the volcano, and he was
Yes.
crying like a baby, basically. Could you imagine
Yep.
if the roof ripped off and go over the volcano? Oh,
Oh
that would
yeah.
be great.
Oh
That
my
would have
God.
been great.
Oh my God.
Not that I'm wishing anything bad on anybody. I'm just thinking the scenario would have been hysterical.
Yeah.
And Dara doesn't watch Abroad in Japan or know who we're talking about, aside from when we've mentioned him in the past. But I know Angela watches him, and I'm sure you remember the special I was talking about.
Yep. We watched that.
Was that with Connor or was that with Joey?
I think Joe. I'm pretty sure it was Joey.
I thought Joey, but I know him and Connor do a ton of stuff.
Yeah, they have a whole series.
Wacky Weekend.
Yep.
I haven't seen one of those come out in a while.
That's nor have I.
Granted,
also
Connor did just get done with his.
They just did the
marathon.
cycle,
Yeah.
and Chris was part of the cycle.
Yeah. And I know I had mentioned last week I had started watching the Trash Taste Awards show. 5 years they've been going. Big winner from that, spoiler alert, big winner from that was Premiere 2, Pete. He took a lot of awards.
I'm not surprised, considering they all do a lot of stuff together.
And considering Pete's personality.
Oh yeah.
I would love to get him on this show. We thought Ladybeard had a lot of personality, upbeat, a lot of great energy. I think Pete might have more.
That is debatable.
It's debatable, but could you imagine if we got them both on at the same time?
Oh dear God. I think that would be too much.
I don't think the U.S. would be ready for a Premiere 2 and Lady Beard show.
Well, Although I would actually, if we had Premier 2 on, I'd have to give him a hard time for his choice in sports teams.
Which ones does he like again?
Kansas City.
Oh, so he's a Swiftie.
I think he's been. I think everything I have seen him in that takes place in the winter, he has the Kansas City scarf, and that predates that.
I just that's what I call him now, just because of how fans made such a big deal about it. So from now on, I just jokingly call them the Kansas City Swifties.
I also think but again,
sports ball.
Yep.
As I've heard, there are YouTubers that I watch. I've mentioned them in the past. Jerome ASF's channel. He had a stream tip come in that was a large sum where the person who streamed tip got to choose what they streamed on Friday. So if you really want a good laugh, Friday they had to play Madden 25. It was Jerome, Dropsy, Captain Blastum, and Sight Music. So it's those four make up the buddies. And it was a tournament style. And the stream tip specifically said you had to play Madden, and Jerome had to play as the Eagles wearing a chicken costume, which he did. He played as the Eagles. He wore a chicken costume.
Why a chicken costume?
There's a game they play called Perfect Heist, and you can wear a chicken mask in that. It's like you rob a bank and stuff, and he'll put the chicken mask on, have an RPG, and he'll call himself Chicken Man and launch himself onto the roof of the bank.
So it's not related to sports ball.
No. In fact, the only person of the four of them that knows anything about football is Dropsy, the only female of the group. And she's kind of a semi-fan. Like, she understood some of the rules of football, but none of them had played a Madden game since 2005 was the newest one. So you can imagine how much fun this stream was. So you can check out his channel, Jerome ASF, on YouTube, and find this tournament. It was actually very entertaining. It was more entertaining than I was expecting it to be.
Jeremy, good to see you. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Have fun at work, and we'll chat with you again in the future.
In sports ball news, currently the Red Sox are playing the New York Yankees and winning. The Red Sox are winning bottom six.
I see that. Score is 7-3 at the moment. Other sports news, congratulations to Denny Hamlin for winning at Michigan. It was actually an entertaining race, and I didn't think Hamlin was going to do it. I'm not the hugest Denny Hamlin fan, but, hats off to him. He drove a hell of a race, and gas mileage prevailed, and he ran out of fuel during his burnouts. Had to get pushed to victory lane. The car running second ran out of gas with one lap coming to the white flag, and they were kind of curious how many cars were going to run out of gas on the last lap, because everybody was really close.
I was going to say too many.
But they all managed their fuel pretty well from what the broadcasters were saying. The guy who I put money on finished second, so unfortunately I didn't win because I put money on him to win. If he had won, I would have won like $12 on a dollar bet, so unfortunately I didn't win.
But if you only lost $1.
Yeah. Usually I bet like 25 cents or 50 cents, but my brother-in-law has a sports guy who knows his stuff, and like the last few weeks he'd been hitting on just about every single one of his sports guy's picks, including, spending $15 and winning 150 and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? He told me with enough time I could actually put the bet in, and we'll see what happens. And Chris Buescher finished second, so great job for him. One spot shy from winning me money, but that's okay.
Yeah, no, I haven't. Sports betting is something I've never really done outside of like like occasionally the Super Bowl squares kind of a thing.
Those are fun.
But sports betting is something I've never really entertained. I keep threatening to, and then I never do.
But we can switch gears here for the second half of the show. I know we've talked about next season shows a little bit last week, but what are should we go through and do a little bit more of a deep dive into the summer 2025 anime?
We totally can.
I know that we have picked on it because of all the sequels that are coming out. Season 2, 3, 4s, 500s.
And the saddest thing is most of what I'm going to be watching next season is sequels.
So I have my anime list pulled up, so I will share the screen.
5 out of the top 6 are sequels, and I suspect between us, I think 4 of those we are watching. At least one of us is watching.
Of the first 6 that are there, I will be watching 2 of them.
Call of the Night and Rising of the Shield Hero, or was it? Were you watching Rising of the Shield Hero?
I was
That's
not.
me.
Okay,
That is me.
that is you. So I was correct that out of the top 5, Dan to Dan is the only one none of us are watching.
Yep.
Yep. Although my wife has watched season 1 of Dan to Dan.
I'm watching 4 of the top 6.
I'm watching 2.
I'm watching Dress Up Darling and Call of the Night.
And opposite ends of the spectrum, Dress Up Darling and Kaiju 8 for me.
And Darren is watching everything but Dan to Dan. And
I was wrong. All of the top 6 are sequels.
Yep.
It just didn't say it on number 6.
and I don't even know what this show is for the 6th one.
Which one?
It's Rascal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Rascal does not dream of Santa Claus.
Yep.
It's a sequel to something.
It's
Sequel
the
to Rascal does
to-
not dream of Bono Girl Senpai.
Oh.
Basically, they've done several movies with Bunny Girl, and this kind of keeps continuing. I mean, it's a good show. Besides the bunny outfit, I mean, the bunny outfit is menial, is like very menial. It's kind of like the attention grabber, and then the show itself focuses on something totally different. It's interesting. That's all I gotta say.
But I feel like we don't have to delve too deep into the sequels because have talked exhaustively about the originals.
We talked a lot about Dress Up Darling. We talked a lot. I've talked a lot about Kaiju 8. You two went on about Call of the Night, Rising of the Shield Hero. That's season 4.
I tried Rising of the Shield Hero season 1. I gave it the 3-episode trial, and it just did not hook me.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things, but at a glance, just not for me.
So you isekai fans out there that are in shock. Yes, there are isekais that even I don't get into.
And then we go down and we get more sequels.
Sakamoto Days Part 2. You have Grand Blue Dreaming Season 2. I don't even know what that is.
Grand Blue Swimming.
Swimming?
Yep.
Okay.
Darren, I think you would actually like the fragrant flower.
Probably.
It's
Ja-
it's a drama romance, and that one's already on my list. Did I put Sakamoto Days on my list?
I would hope so. Considering you left it off your list the first time.
Am I logged in? No, I'm not logged in. That would
Let's
be why.
see. Ah, that could be a possibility. The fragrant flower blooms with dignity. That could be a possibility on my list. I might check that out.
Okay, so yes, it is on my list. I just had to log in. There we go.
The next row is, I don't think there's any of those three that I'm going to be watching. Dr. Stone, Science Future Part 2.
About to say, Dr. Stone is a great series. I fell off around season 3. Let's see. The summer Hikaru died, and Gachiakuta. Gachiakuta? I don't know.
Gotcha. That's what I think it is. Gotcha.
Gachia.
That does not look like something that I would watch.
The summer
useful abyss.
The summer he could have died is possibly
A horror mystery supernatural.
that
sounds up your alley as something you would give a try to.
that's why I say maybe. And then we've got Rent a Girlfriend season 4.
Doug's favorite too.
Why?
I was reincarnated as a 7th prince.
Season 2.
Season 2. That's a second season. I did watch season 1. It actually was better than I expected it to be. So
It was on my list,
another
I forgot.
season 2.
And then a mythology one that's on my list, Togenanki. But again, I like some of the weird stuff.
Well, you need to.
She says that, but she won't watch the season. She won't watch Vending Machine. Nothing gets weirder than being reincarnated as
That's an isekai. No.
I was gonna say one anime I should have showed her while I was here was Dora Hetero. That one was weird.
Going down to the next row, we've got Couple of Cuckoo season 2. A few of my friends watched that and said it was good. Vending Machine season 2. What? Why? Just why?
Agreed. I will be the first to say I don't feel it needed a season 2, but you best believe I'm going to watch it.
And then Secrets of the Silent Witch, Secrets of the Silent Witch.
Speaking of which, I need to start Witch Watch.
Same.
I've heard a lot of good things about Witch Watch. I've been tempted to.
Well, it's actually kind of funny. A lot of the animes with witch in their title have actually been halfway decent.
Looking at this Secrets of the Silent Witch, I'm going to put that as a possibility. Monica Everett, the Silent Witch, is the only mage in the world who can use uncharted magecraft, a true hero who single-handedly defeated a legendary black dragon. However, this young genius is actually super-duper shy. That's right, she learned to cast spells silently just to avoid speaking in public. And despite her power, she has zero self-confidence. Now Monica has been tasked with secretly guarding the second prince, Can she keep it together as she faces both the evil forces targeting the prince and the terrors of social interaction?
I love how they're just coming out with protagonists that just are introverts by heart.
And see, for me, that just feels like I don't that has potential, but it also has potential to be super cringe.
And it's a source from a light novel, producers Aniplex and Cygame. Studio
Side games. I'm sold. I'm sold.
Studio Gokumi. Fantasy genre theme school.
All you had to do was mention side games with their track with Uma Musume and other shows that started out as games or something and they turned into anime.
Apparently, there's going to be a talking cat. I'm looking at the cast here, and Nero a cat with a voice actor. So this could be interesting. I will probably give that a try.
Yoko Hisaka. That's a. I love Yoko because she's Ria.
On the next list, or the next row, we have Tsuyokute New Saga.
Never heard of it.
It's an adventure fantasy, Studio Clutch and Sotsu. Theme time travel.
Okay, you piqued my interest a little bit.
After a fierce... Oh, go ahead, Ange.
After a fierce battle, magic swordsman Kyle finally killed the Demon Lord after being seriously injured in the battle. Kyle, on the verge of death, approaches a relic which was in possession of the Demon Lord and sends him to the past. After recovering from the initial shock, he decides to use this opportunity to avoid making the same mistakes in the past and become stronger. Time travel tends to go one of two ways. It's either done really well or it's done pure shit.
Looking at the art for this show, I'm going to put that as a possibility. This looks like this has the potential to be really good.
See, this to me sounds way too cookie cutter formulaic. But, meh.
We still need to get you on Steins Gate if you want a proper time travel anime.
Steins Gate is one I have heard nothing but good things about.
Well, there's a reason it's one of the highest rated anime of all time. Plus Kurisu is the best.
City, the animation.
And also, I think that's a large part as to why Dr. Pepper is the choice among most weeaboos, because Dr. Pepper is basically flaunted in that series on the regular.
City the Animation. It sounds like it could be one of those palate cleansing animes that we talk about.
Yep.
Maybe get a job.
That's it. Yeah. Midori is in a bit of a bind. She's in debt. Her landlady is trying to shake her down for unpaid rent. Her best friend refuses to loan her cash since she's wised up to her tricks. Maybe some bullying would help, or a bit of petty theft. Neither is sustainable. Maybe getting a job would settle things, but working means less time for fun adventures in the big city. Comedy genre, gag humor for the theme, Kyoto Animation.
Okay, I'm sold.
And I am absolutely not.
All right, Kyoto Animation, that right there is a selling point because they have yet to put out a bad series.
And gag humor alone is enough for me to go, not for me.
Up next, we have There's No Freaking Way I'll Be Your Lover Unless... ...
That's a Yuri.
Yeah, that's a GL.
That is a GL.
Yep, it's a Yuri.
So Darren will be watching.
Well, not much different than the lovely lady behind you.
That's getting a season 2 at some point too,
I believe that's fall season.
which I will probably watch it to see how much more degenerate they go.
But they've
For no
already hit
other
rock
reason than
bottom.
degeneracy.
They've
And,
already hit rock bottom.
and John Knight's sharing that his plan is to watch Dan to Dan Season 2, Dr. Stone Part 2, Rent a Girlfriend, Kaiju 8, and Rising of the Shield Hero.
So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 season whatevers.
And if I'm not mistaken, all but one overlap with at least one of us.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Dr. Stone is the only one that not a single one of us is watching.
Dan to Dan either.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, Dan to Dan, Dr. Stone, none of us are watching.
I might go back and watch Dan to Dan. Like, I'm torn about that one.
I'm not watching any of those 5. By being honest.
But come on, you love Rent a Girlfriend.
And I thought you liked Rising of the Shield Hero.
No, I told you I watched 3 episodes of Shield Hero and was like, it's not for me. I know what you're doing with that.
You know,
Yeah, now
I really do find that ironic, though. Just saying.
Probably, I think the biggest issue with Shield Hero was like one of the biggest selling points people tried to put out there for me to watch it was Raftalia. And I just didn't find her all that appealing as a character.
And you hadn't met Philo yet, had you?
No, I only got like 2 or 3 episodes. I think I got 3 episodes in.
So yeah, you didn't meet Philo, Melty, or any of the other decent ones that came afterwards.
And as I've said before, with so many shows that are airing nowadays, we all have to be selective as to what we want to watch, because obviously we're looking at probably 30 to 50 shows every season comes out. You guys are lucky to keep up with 3. You guys are lucky to keep up with 3 or 4 shows every season because of life, universe, everything else. The only reason I can keep up with more is because I end up having a lot of downtime stuck in hotels and nothing better to do than like sleep or watch anime on the phone.
Yeah, we ain't got time for that.
Nope.
Because we actually have to interact with people or watch what we're doing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I really wanted to, I could put one episode on my phone or watch one episode of something on my phone during my lunch break. But even then, it's in a pub. Even then, it's like, eh.
As long as you're not like watching DxD, or interspecies reviewers out in public.
God, no.
Why? It is a perfectly good, wholesome anime to watch in public.
Especially when people tell you, especially when people bring up, isn't anime for kids? You can show them one of those shows.
Besides, look at it this way. Half the time, if you're watching something like that in public, they'll just stand there watching you and watch with you. And be like, hey, what is that? Can I watch with you? They won't ask you directly. They'll just stare at it with you.
I maintain a funny moment was when I walked up in one of my old jobs. I walked into the break room area to find somebody watching Naruto on his phone while eating lunch. Naruto.
Oh, one of my employees, because I'm a little bit lax on the policy, because she was in the back and doing stuff not pertaining to customer service at all. She was making half gallons and she was watching Kakiguri. She's
Einz
actually
wanted to
doing
come and
it.
say hello.
Hello, Ainz.
Hello, camera whore.
That is the face of content right there. Yes, you wanted some attention. You get your love. And now I'll put you back on the couch so you can continue your napping. But getting back to the list of the summer anime, the next row has Apocalypse, Bringer, Magnera, Mynoghra, Mynoghra. That's just an interesting thing to try and pronounce. That one is Adventure Fantasy Isekai Reincarnation. So Angela's not interested.
Nope.
Takuto Ira succumbed to an illness at a young age and ended up reincarnating in a world that resembles the fantasy turn-based strategy game Eternal Nations. Not only did he reincarnate into his favorite game, but as the god who commands the evil civilization Minara. With Minara's beautiful hero unit, Sludge Witch Atto, by his side, not even legendary difficult race traits will stand in the way of restarting their civilization. I don't know. From Studio Maho Film. It's coming from a light novel. After that, we have more Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Season 2, Part 2. That is
Which I know you're ready for.
I will be watching that. Like I said before, I think Season 2 was better than Season 1.
I got partway through Season 1 and unfortunately just ran out of time.
After that, we have Arknight Rise from Ember.
I'm assuming that's based off of the game.
Yeah.
Yes.
It says new season of Arknights. I don't really know anything about it.
Arknights is a game, that's all I know.
I've heard Giga talk about it, I think.
Studio Yostar Pictures. Action fantasy, PG-13 rating.
In other words, cute girls doing battle things.
Probably.
Knowing Giga, probably.
Yeah, he seems to like cute girls doing cute things. And then we have The Water Magician. This one is Studio Typhoon Graphics in Wonderland. Action fantasy.
Never heard of them.
And it's Angela's favorite genres, Isekai Reincarnation.
Why?
Because we're in a world where you can't have less
I
than
know.
15 isekais every season now.
John Knight says, Doug, have you watched Maken Kai anime?
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay. I saw the first season.
Very titillating.
Yeah, very titillating anime. It was okay, but I didn't enjoy it enough to watch season 2.
Well, good. Season 1 had somewhat of a story going. Season 2 was just pure fan service.
So it sounds like Senran Kaguya. Season 1 was decent. Season 2 was just crap.
Yeah, pretty much. About to say, if I'm not mistaken, Mockingjay's has one of the characters holds the record for one of the largest busts in anime.
The fact there's a category for that is not surprising.
No.
Well, let's see. She was H. She was I. J. She was I or J, which I don't think anyone knew they went that high.
All right. Looking down a little, I think I found one for each of you.
How far down did you go?
That far down.
Um, let's see.
I literally went one row down.
Oh, Watari-kun looks like my kind of show.
Yep.
Watari-kun's blank is about to collapse.
It's a comedy, drama, romance.
That definitely would.
That screams Darren.
Yeah. The one beside it also could be a Darren and a Ross.
I think
Yep.
Ross has talked about that one.
I
Busu
think
ni
you.
Hanataba wo.
I believe you are correct.
What's the English title?
Let me open this up and see. A bouquet for an ugly girl. Also known
Yup,
as April
April
showers
showers.
bring May flowers.
Ross has definitely mentioned this.
That's the Ross one.
Yeah. Studio Silverlink.
Oh, well, Silverlink's one of my, well, it has a decent reputation.
And then on the next row, we have Betrothed to My Sister's Ex.
Betrothed to My Sister's. That sounds fun.
That was the one my knee-jerk reaction was to say that was a Darren show.
No.
Comedy romance. A poor barren daughter has lived under her sister's shadow, where she's always had nothing. Her hair is full of hairballs. She doesn't have a single dress, and all she has are tattered clothes for work. Her sister receives the attention of a high rich noble, but she dies on her way to marriage. Marie is sent as a substitute bride for her sister because the baron cannot repay the already sold dowry to the earl. But that's impossible. In the first place, the proposal was a misunderstanding, a beautiful and happy story of love about a fallen baron's daughter and an eloquent earl.
Actually, now that sounds like Ross.
Yeah, that's a full Ross, and that is a maybe for me.
Land Q Studios.
Never heard of them.
Never heard of them. Let's take a
What
quick
else they
look.
do?
Land Q Studios. Let's see. BEM. Never heard of it. Robot Girl Z. Yeah, BEM. Sword Guy, the animation. Robot
Yeah,
Girls.
I know none of those.
Tokyo Seventh Sisters. Yeah, I have never heard of any of these shows.
Ditto.
So I don't know. The jury is out because that's a newer studio. We have another comedy romance up next. Mikadono Sanshimai wa Angai Chihori.
Is there an English translation anywhere that you can see?
There is not.
No.
Okay, so Mikado no Sanshimai wa Angai. Okay.
And
So
licensors none found, which means there is a possibility this might not be airing here.
And it's Studio
watching
PA
anyway.
Works.
Oh, well, that's shocking because PA Works is a well-known studio.
And producers Aniplex and Magic Capsule.
Okay, so if it's got Aniplex in the production, it's going to be an Aniplex show. So I'm going to be looking for Crunchyroll to take that one. Just saying.
And John Knight says, Darren, have you watched Bikini Warriors anime?
I hate it. Yes.
And then, Doug, given some of the things you've watched, this next one's for you.
Yeah.
Scooped
by the
up by
title alone.
an S rank adventurer.
Go ahead and read the synopsis for everyone.
Let's do this on my own screen. One day, Lloyd, a white mage, is banished from the hero's party. Lloyd, who has lost his job, happens to accompany an S-rank party on a quest by chance. At the time, no one knew that the hero's party would collapse and Lloyd would gain fame yet. This is the story of an extraordinary support magic user who thinks he is normal and becomes an adventurer while he is unaware of how he eventually becomes peerless.
Yeah, that's not gonna lie, that's right up my alley.
That is so you.
That
That
screams
sounds
me.
like a cross. That sounds like a cross between Baroness from the Heroes Party and Starter Town.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
because he doesn't know how strong he is.
Well, let's see. What am I watching right now? That the Meister anime, very similar. The guy is overpowered, doesn't know just how overpowered he is. A rank party, very similar. I left my A rank party to help my former students reach the dungeon depths. That one is very similar. So it's a storyline that we have seen time and time again.
Yep.
Right.
Not gonna lie, Doug. I saw that title and was like, "Yeah, that's a Doug show."
Yeah, that might be one of the few non-sequels animes that I watch. Because let's be honest, all of us have like at least 5 continuations on our list.
I think I've only got 2. No, I lied. 3.
I've got Dress Up Darling Season 2, Call of the Night Season 2, Reincarnated as the Seventh Prince Season 2, Vending Machine Season 2,
No,
Toilet Season 2, Part 2.
I've got 3 Season 2, or I've got technically 2 Season 2s and 1 Part 2.
I've got 5 Season 2s.
Dress Up Darling, Kaiju 8, and Sakamoto. What little else is on my list is new.
Vending Machine.
No.
There's no way that we're ever getting Angela to watch Vending Machine.
Not happening. Nope. Will not happen. Going down the next row, we've got some slice of lifes. Introduction to Mineralogy. Interesting.
What in the story of Ruri, a girl who likes jewelry and accessories, diving into the world of mineralogy. I have a feeling this could either be really good and feel like it's on the same lines as like After School Dice Club or New Game, where it delves deep into a topic, even possibly even Smile Down the Runway, where you get a deeper dive into a field that not a lot of people pay attention to, or it could be really, really stupid.
It could also be a really nice palate cleanse, what I like to refer to as palate cleanser.
Producers Aniplex, Egg Firm, Bit Grove Promotion from Studio Bind for this one.
I don't know the studio, but I know Egg Firm.
Let's see. Studio Bind has put. Okay, I have some high hopes on this one. Mishoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. Okay, so I do have some. I kind of do have some high hopes, and this one looks like Flower and Asura. I have seen that image before, but I have not seen the anime. So that was another one that they had put out.
And then the next one, Cultural Exchange for the Game Center Girl.
Comedy romance.
I'm going to say Darren, maybe Ross.
The Story of Angela. The Game Center Girl.
Yep. Speaking of which, I see Ross finally made an appearance.
Oh, did he?
Ross, the summary is we didn't stay on topic for the first hour. We just kind of went all over the place and then decided to start looking at the summer season. And we found a few shows we think you would appreciate.
Including finding shows that we know you have talked about in the past that you were going to be watching.
With You in the Rain is another slice of life.
What does this one say? We have, during a rainy day, a woman comes across a strange animal waiting by the side of the road, pleading to be taken in. The creature offers the woman an umbrella in an attempt to show off its appeal. Intrigued by its clever nature, she brings the dog-like creature home and thus begins their life together.
That's a maybe for me.
What?
I believe it or not, I like a good slice of life.
Liesprit for the studio. I don't know that studio. Cinderella Girls I've heard of. I think that's the only show that they've done that I've heard of. It looks like a lot of like kids type shows, at least based by the art I see. Liesprit, established 2016. I mean, it could have potential. It could be a good palate cleanser. Up next, we have one for Angela. Hell Teacher. Comedy, horror, supernatural.
I would say we had Hell Girl, and now we have Hell Teacher. That's funny.
Maybe. And then we've got a comedy called Bad Girl.
Let's see. Bad Girl says, Yu Yutani, a first-year high school student with sharp eyes, large piercings, and flashy two-tone hair, is not a well-known bad girl who everyone makes way for. She's actually a very good girl at heart, and her mind is always full of thoughts of the school's Madonna, Atori. Wanting to attract the attention of the disciplinary committee, Chairman Atori, Yu decides to quit being an honor student and become a bad delinquent. A school comedy depicting the struggles of a slightly foolish, self-proclaimed delinquent is about to begin. So that sounds like it could possibly be a GL.
Which one? What's the name? All right, I can't read.
Bad Girl.
What's the tags on it?
Genre is comedy. Studio Bridge. Produced by King Records. It's basically about a girl who is a good girl, honor student, has a thing for the disciplinary committee's head person, so she decides to become a bad girl and I guess it's funny with the stuff she tries to do. Up next, we have an action fantasy, Clivetus, produced by Katakawa. Alicia, who had dreamed of becoming a hero since childhood, is chosen by the king as one of the 13 heroes. Armed with a legendary sword, the heroes set out to defeat the demon king, Clivetus. However, their recklessness triggers a terrible crisis that could wipe out all of humanity on the continent of Idsi. Now, the world's only hope lies with a baby entrusted to the demon king. I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Up next, we have a action horror suspense, Nayat of the Living Cat. That could be a potential for Angela, knowing that Angela enjoys
Nope.
suspense and horror.
Nope, this one is a not for me.
A virus spreads across the world, transforming all of humankind into wild, slavering, furry beasts. Cats, to be precise. Those few survivors who remain human to take refuge in the dark corners of the earth as they fight back against the feline horde. Kunaji, a man with no memory of his past, yet a deep knowledge of cats, struggles to hold on with his only wits excuse me, and will to survive. Yet the virus transmits merely through cuddles, and Cookie finds Kitty so hard to resist. Is his willpower strong enough to withstand this hair-raising catastrophe? Okay, it's already got the puns right in this thing there. I have a feeling that the puns are going to be horrible and drive everybody insane.
Like I said, not for me.
I think Angela should watch it just to let us know. I'm sure I'm getting the evil eye for that one.
Yep.
Up next, we have Dekin no Mogura.
The Earthbound Mall. A Mogura, a mysterious self-proclaimed sage, also known as Hayakun Momoyumi, has been banned from the afterlife. To return, he roams the world, collecting the lamps of ghosts in his lantern. However, crossing paths with him brings an unusual consequence, the ability to see strange phenomena. That's a maybe for me.
Comedy, mystery, supernatural for the tags on that. And then up next, seeing if there's an English out. Detectives these days are crazy. Nagumo Kiitoru was a genius high school detective. No case was complex enough for him. But what happens to genius detectives when they get older? Now 35, with bad hips, running a failing detective agency with no cases to solve and struggling to pay the rent, he's at a dead end. In comes a high school girl in his office who says she wants to work with him. With her help, will the out-of-touch, old-fashioned Nagumo get back the fire of his youth? Not for me. Produced by Katakawa, Studio Linden Films.
They got a good reputation.
Agreed.
I know the studio, but I just don't think that anime is for me.
I'm actually agreeing on both of those counts.
Up next, fantasy for this, and this is a show coming out from Studio Blanc. It's called Private Tutor to the Duke's Daughter.
Sounds like a Ross show.
Yep.
After failing the final exam for his dream job at the royal court, promising young sorcerer Alan wants nothing more than to retreat to a simple life in the countryside. Unfortunately for him, he can't even afford the train fare. His only solution is to get a job, but his one lead is anything but modest. Duke Howard, one of the kingdom's most powerful nobles, needs a private tutor for his daughter Tina. Despite her academic brilliance, Tina is incapable of casting even a single spell. To make matters worse, entrance exams for the prestigious Royal Academy are fast approaching, and magical aptitude is mandatory. Can Alan use his unique brand of spellcasting to help Tina overcome her magical impediment? A mystery that not even the kingdom's finest sorcerers have been able to solve? And does her father, the Duke, even want him to? Studio Blank, produced by King Records, Bit Groove Promotion, and Gree Entertainment. That has potential to be good. It also has potential to be a very meh. And then we have another one that could be a possible that I watch, maybe not. The Stunned Hero and the Assassin Princess. Action comedy fantasy. Studio Connect. Hiro Toto possesses great skills, but his extreme shyness has left him unable to form a party, causing him to remain stuck in the town where his journey began. One day, he is suddenly invited to join a party by three beautiful women, Ciel, Anime, and Gore. Overjoyed at finally setting off on an adventure, Toto is filled with excitement, but little does he know, these women are dead set on killing him. A deathly harem rom-com unfolds as a socially anxious hero who faints from mere flustered excitement around women finds himself the target of three deadly companions, each with their own reasons for wanting him gone. Interesting.
Well, I like the studio. I didn't realize they did all the shows they have because I've seen quite a few of them.
Connect.
Yep. They did Orisuke. They did Armed Girls Machiavellism, Death March,
Strike the Blood.
Strike the Blood. Yep. I haven't seen Strike the Blood.
Neither have I, but I've heard good things.
I watched Chaos Dragon down there. I think I binged it. Don't remember much about it, but it was Ayakashi Triangle I tried to watch, and then unfortunately when it got put on hiatus initially because of production issues, I forgot to go back and finish it. They also did voice actor radio.
Oh, that's cool.
Voice actor radio was good.
That was good.
And I'm sorry I failed y'all. I will redeem myself one day.
And then after that, Solo Camping for Two. The Slice of Life. Story centers on Gen Kinkokura, a devoted solo camper who treasures his solitude during one of his usual camping trips. He unexpectedly crosses paths with Shizuku Kusano, a total camping novice. What starts as an accidental encounter evolves into an unusual partnership as the two embark on what can only be described as solo camping for two.
And it is considered a slice of life.
Slice of Life from Synergy SP. Synergy SP has put out Initial D. Rent a Girlfriend, Season 2.
Let's see, a couple of cuckoos.
They've got some decent stuff that they put out.
Girlfriend, Kuriola Madaka, Salad Bowl.
That could be a potential if I'm stuck in a hotel and I'm caught up on everything else that I'm watching and I'm just looking for something to waste time, maybe.
It almost kind of sounds like they're trying to compete with Laid Back Camp, considering the reputation it got.
Possibly. Up next from Studio OLM, we've got Welcome to the Outcasts Restaurant. I think we touched on this one before.
Yep.
I'm going to put that as a maybe.
Same.
If it's anything like Restaurant to Another World, then it has a potential to be good. But I'm not going to go into it expecting anything like that, because this seems like it's a bit different.
And then there's one. The next one is one Darren's been hyping up for months.
Yep.
Turkey, the bowling anime.
Yep.
Which I think all of us are going to at least check out a couple episodes.
Yeah, because I want to see how accurate it is to real bowling. And on top of that, I've seen some of the clips where the Japanese girls are bowling, and they're really good.
Yeah, I'm curious how the art style looks, and because when it comes to sports animes, there's so many different things that you have to kind of factor in for animation that a lot of people don't think of. A lot of people talked about how beautiful Yuri on Ice was for the animation of being able for figure skating and stuff. Bowling, there's a lot of movement and there's a lot of stuff you got to try to get.
Yep.
I can see it now, them taking a glorifying shot of the ball rolling down the lane, being how much it hooks, how it comes in on the pins. I can already see the glamour shots, or whatever you want to call it, the detailed shots from that.
I'm waiting for this anime to come out and them having one of those glamour shots of the balls hitting the pins, and somebody, with all the memes and all the edits and stuff out there, somebody cutting away from the ball hitting the pin, jumping right to that opening scene from Zombieland Saga when the girl gets hit by the truck. I don't know why, but I could see that happening. I don't have the skills for that, but I could see somebody do that.
Or we could do this, or they could be going to bowl and they drop the ball, and then everybody behind them just goes yay and jumps up. Be like Wii bowling.
Yeah. My God, we are almost out of time, and I don't think we've. I
think we've
got
got
quite a bit. Yeah.
The rest of what we've got is a lot of mediocre at best.
Food court anime.
I see a food court anime. I see an ecchi, a romance ecchi up there. That could be up Darren's alley.
Hotel Inhumans, but a whole lot of the rest is looking like meh.
Up to say, I see a romance ecchi. That's definitely gonna be a me show.
Which one was that?
Hitazuma no Kuchibiru wa kon Chuhai no Aji ga shite.
Yep, it's listed as an ecchi, therefore that's all you.
That was one
It's
that I saw. I was like, that's Darren.
ecchi romance, and the theme is adult cast. That the art greatly resembles Tawawa on Monday.
But that's going to do it for the look ahead. Sure, there's a lot of stuff that we're all looking forward to. A lot of stuff that we are going to be hoping to watch, time permitting, for Darren and Angela. So I know especially for Darren, summer is the worst month for him to try to keep up on anime because landscaping takes up a ton of time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's the big thing is the landscaping takes up a ton of time, but also I'm exhausted by the end of the day, and I'm just ready to.
Oh yeah, the landscaping side of things, and I can attest for us because I helped him out for a week. It is very physical. It takes a lot out of you. Angela didn't get to experience the fun of the riding mowers.
No.
No, I didn't have time to really show her, unfortunately.
You mean you didn't have another one of your friends come out and mow your lawn for you?
No.
No, but we did, in fact, have a really good convention weekend.
That's the important thing. I'm glad that you were able to have a ton of fun, and Ange got some new experiences. Ange gave Darren some new experiences with the axe throwing.
Yeah, that was still just coincidental timing, and I'm like, screw it, I'll do it.
Yep.
I attempted axe throwing many years ago at King Richard's Fair, and I was terrible.
It takes some getting used to, that's for sure.
I couldn't figure out like the flick to get it to actually make the rotation to where the axe blade actually stuck into the wood.
Well, Angela struggled too there for a minute just because it was a little bit lighter than what she was used to.
It was a lot lighter than the axe I throw regularly.
Probably like bowling. You get used to a certain weight ball, and then you go bowling with friends. You don't have your ball with you, so you use one from the bowling alley, and it just doesn't feel the same, or it's a little bit lighter.
Exactly.
100%, because those were stock axes, probably abused to shit, and
well,
they
had to give everybody an introductory experience, I guess.
Yep, and it's way lighter. It is significantly lighter than the axe I throw with weekly. So
once again, we want to take time to thank our sponsors, Home Circle Media, for the latest and greatest in anime gear, everything for pens, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Be sure to check out homecirclemedia.com today, or look for them at an upcoming convention. Also, thank you to Triple S Lawn Care. If you're in the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina area and you're looking for quality landscaping at a great price, reach out to Darren. Spaces are limited due to the fact that the summer season is upon us and his time is limited for as much as he can get done. Plus, the weather has sucked this spring.
yes,
Yes, it has. And actually, on that note, unless you have projects that can wait, I am full. I'm not taking on anybody else.
Ross in the chat says last comment.
Have any projects.
Last comment, because of time, I might watch an anime this summer called With Vengeance, since your broken saintness about it's about a girl who can transfer wounds of others onto herself, but finds out her best friend betrays her and steals her credit when she saves her crush. When she was on the brink of death from his wounds, she transfers to herself.
but interesting.
But we are out of time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. It has been a lot of fun. Again, thank you to everybody who came into the chat. Ross, Jeremy, John. Thank you to all of you awesome viewers or awesome listeners who listen to us on the audio side with the podcast platforms. We really appreciate everybody who has given us support through the years, and look forward to future shows. Heads up, there's a very good chance we could be doing a show Saturday night. It's either going to be this Saturday, the 14th, or the 21st, depending on my schedule. Guests will be Julili, Karen Iwata, who is a Japanese voice actress and idol singer. She has been with the group AKB48. She was also in the anime AKB0048, now living in the US, working on her English, wanting to do more work with the English side of the voice acting and acting communities. And one other person, and I just closed the email, so I need to get back in there. But definitely, if you're here on the YouTube side, you want to definitely, if you haven't hit the like button, aren't following us, follow us when we go live. Ayaka is the other person that's going to be joining us as well. All part of the 1010 group that we had mentioned about in the past. And looking forward to having everybody here on the show. It's going to be a fun time, and really looking forward to it. It's going to be our first Japanese voice actor that's been on the show, and third Asian musician guest. So until next time, everybody have a wonderful week. We'll see you again for more Anime-Zing Radio here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Good night, all.
Bye, everybody.